What's going on, guys? TG or ThunderGod here today, back again on the channel. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm doing a rather interesting video today. Today I'll be ranking all the Naruto movie villains in order from weakest to strongest. I did have to rewatch every movie and go through a lot of promotional material to make sure I didn't miss anything or anything like that. So a like would be appreciated. If not, you know, I'm only asking for crumbs. But I'll be ranking these characters in terms of who should be able to defeat the people below them. I'll be having these characters in their absolute peaks in their respective conditions, with the best conditions being met for each movie. This will make more sense like when we get into the video as certain characters get buffed by certain plot devices in each movie. So with that being said, let's get into the video. At the number 9 slot, we have Doto Kazahana from Ninja Class in the Land of Snow. That's the first Naruto movie, who was the acting leader of the Kazahana clan as a result of him staging a coup against his brother. This movie takes place in the Land of Snow, a land that possesses an unusually advanced level of technology when compared to other countries or lands in the Naruto world. Why is this relevant? Well, Doto uses what's called chakra armor. Chakra armor is armor that increases the net chakra in a person's body, along with strengthening various jutsu which would have already had the potential for an increased potency due to the increased chakra pool. On top of these buffs, the armor creates a chakra barrier around the user and deflects enemies' chakra or jutsu, anti-chakra as they call it. Ninjutsu and genjutsu are said to be useless as well. This barrier can and is shown to be breached if a jutsu of high enough potency is shot at it consistently, overwhelming the armor. Now, Doto's chakra armor deflects a Chidori from Sasuke, which does crack the core, leaving for Naruto to finish the fight with a rainbow Rasengan, shown to be rainbow chakra of sorts, which does one-shot Doto. And honestly, this is the first Naruto movie, so it's pretty easy to see why it'd be so high up on the list. He's pretty strong in terms of part 1 Naruto stuff. His arsenal is just pretty decent. It's just the fact that Naruto and Sasuke just kind of one-shot him with their greatest attacks, which compared to other people in the Genin tier in terms of the movies, just really isn't that impressive. For number 8, we have Haido from Legend of the Stone of Galel. In the film, Haido utilizes the stone, a source of life energy contained in a mineral seen in the film, with the whole deposit of the mineral said to be capable of destroying half a continent, leading to war over its power. Haido in the film learns how to control the power of the stone and plans to use it to control the world. Haido, when possessing the stone, undergoes a pretty drastic transformation akin to that of the Curse Mark, where he was shown to dominate Temujin, another character introduced in the film, shown to be on par with a Naruto post-Sasuke retrieval arc. Haido required a dual Rasengan by Naruto's Kyuubi chakra and Temujin's siphoning power from the Gale mine itself. Haido at his peak being able to quite literally punch a Rasengan. Haido also displays the ability to fly, shoot constructs out of his body, shoot energy blasts at opponents without touching them, etc. Even weaker versions of the stone's power allowed jobbers in the film to take on the likes of Gaara, breaking through sand barriers and sand tsunamis with their Gale-enhanced Raidon. It's pretty clear that Haido is a step above Doto, as Doto relied way too much on the chakra armor, and once the armor was broken, he just died, whereas Haido actually has been a bit of regen. So even if Doto throws out one of his jutsu like the Ice Style Black Dragon Blizzard or the Ice Style Twin Dragon Blizzard, it's no guarantee, as we don't really know how to scale the potency of his jutsu, especially since that Haido was just shown taking a stronger Naruto's Rasengan. Albeit he did have to sap energy from the Gale mine, but if we put Doto in Naruto's position, it just shows he wouldn't be able to one-shot Haido at all. Doto fights stronger versions of the same characters as well as having better hacks. Just pretty clear decision here. At number 7, we have Ishidate from Guardians of the Crescent Moon. Ishidate was the leader of a group of mercenary ninjas serving as an acting force for Shabadabada. Bro, I'm not making this up. Look at this name on screen. Shadabada, who had attempted to dispose of the royal line in the Crescent Moon movie. Ishidate's more so a rival to Kakashi, being able to brawl out with him in a close quarters fight and tagging him with his petrifying ability located in his right arm, where he can turn anyone he touches into stone, able to turn many bodyguards in Kakashi's arm into rock. Now, to be fair to Kakashi, Ishidate and co. incorporated reaction dulling poison into their arsenal, making all 5 senses go awry, which essentially makes it so they can nerf whoever they come into blows with heavily, to the point Ishidate can weave away from Kakashi's Raikiri with some remnants of Raidon being present in his arm. You can also seemingly pull earth from the ground and shoot it down, similar to how the Ten Tails rained wood style down on the allied shinobi forces, implying this is more than likely earth release. Ishidate also forces Naruto to take on the Kyuubi chakra with a noticeable effect on his visual features. Both villains prior had required some degree of Kyuubi chakra to defeat, however, Naruto had not received as much to change his physical characteristics. With the Kyuubi, Naruto performs a multi-shadow clone jutsu to stomp on Ishidate, and even then he was still able to continue fighting, but was halted by a saber-toothed tiger, yeah I said it, jumping him, and it required him being massively distracted to defeat. Even if you argue Doto's chakra barrier could deflect the poison in the air, there's nothing to suggest guessed his chakra armor would be able to stop the petrification, especially since he has no resistance to taijutsu, so Ishidate could just get in close as he'd have higher speed at this point and just touch him. Same thing for Haido, he'd have no real answer to Ishidate and would lose even harder as he'd have his reactions dulled, whereas Doto is more debatable, but essentially Ishidate is more of a rival for Kakashi, whereas, you know, the rest are more so rival for like Naruto. Now, that's actually going to cover the pre-Shippuden movies, which you might be like, okay, the rest of this list is probably going to be done in ascending order, which is not the case. This is actually where it gets a little interesting, so stay with me, guys, as we continue on down. At number 6 from Naruto Shippuden, the movie Bonds, we have the Dr. Shino. Shino uses something called Dark Chakra in the film, obtained when darkness within the human heart is brought forth, allowing the Zero Tails, tail beast in the movie, to feed off of it. Zero Tails grants its host a great source of power equal to the target's darkness. The Dr. Shino obtains an ultimate body, quote-unquote, using Dark Chakra in the film, allowing him to use all 8 inner gates until the Gate of Death. I've heard people say that he could actually survive this, which is never stated in the film. I believe people say this due to him having the body activation jutsu. His body is more so a flex point here, and how he achieved a body strong enough to achieve a feat Might Guy could only achieve in the war arc. Orochimaru had also allegedly learned his own regeneration jutsu from Shino in this film. Shino has the ability to regenerate from any physical damage given and grow stronger from it. Similar to how when you break down muscles in the gym and grow stronger from it, assuming you're getting your protein in, that is, it's the same degree here. He's taken this to the degree where he can revive systems within his body, not functioning, letting him fool medical experts like Sakura very easily. The Zero Tails, which Shino draws chakra from, also tells Shino that Naruto's Kyuubi would be a good test for him. The Zero Tails in the film being able to pierce through Three Tails Naruto, forcing him to undergo the Four Tails transformation, where the Four Tails just starts ripping him apart until Naruto has the Kyuubi suppressed by a seal. Shino can also channel the Dark Chakra to create a Rasengan equivalent, that being the Super Revival Fist, which, while effective against Naruto, doesn't really take him out or deal any long-lasting damage throughout the film. Now, Shino's power is more so a result of the person who he's fighting having darkness in his heart for him to draw on. When Naruto removed the darkness from the battlefield from the plot girl that was in the movie, Shino gets comboed up by base Naruto. Shino's also a little weird just because the minute Sasuke shows up in this film, he's able to interfere or like block Shino's Tenketsu or chakra points, leading to Shino like one-shotting himself and turning like super old and frail. It's really funny. Shino more so is just a taijutsu brawler. Even him being able to defeat the Four Tails is a bit questionable since the Zero Tails was kind of getting slammed around by the Four Tails. It doesn't really get taken out, but it wasn't really able to stop Naruto in any capacity. And the Four Tails wasn't going all out. He wasn't shooting out Bijou bombs or anything like that. So it's a little questionable, whereas Shino is just this taijutsu brawler, essentially. And the minute Shino at this point should easily be above anybody below him, just him fighting this version of Naruto. All his extra showings and abilities are just icing on the cake. I also wouldn't give him the 8 gates as he just doesn't display them. I know he can do them, but barring the regular multipliers for the gates, that being 10 to 12 times, there's no one to really scale him to. So it's just something we can't really use. At the number 5 slot, we have Moryo from Naruto Shippuden, the movie. I know that's the title. The opening scene of this movie showed Naruto fighting a Hydra-like creature only to be killed by it. Then the setting went back a few days prior where a man named Yomi attacks his shrine to revive the spirit of Moryo, a demon who attempted to destroy the world and create his 1,000-year kingdom. Moryo was said to only be able to be sealed, or it'd mean the destruction of the world. I don't think this means that like he's stronger than everybody in the verse. I believe this is more so similar to Kaguya, and how Kaguya was a lot stronger than anybody on Team 7 at the times, so their best win condition was to seal her. I believe it's same in principle here. The only threat to Moryo's plan being a priestess known as Shion who could seal his spirit away. The demon is eventually revived by the end of the movie and like takes on like a Hydra-like appearance, being quite substantial in strength. Small portions of Moryo's chakra were able to be given to his jobber subordinates with enough strength to pressure Lee to not only go into the 5th gate, but gain a drunken amp on top of it while in the 5th gate, thanks to an alcoholic treat. The problem with Moryo, and that we actually don't see too much of him at all in the film, as Naruto fights him for a short time and is actually able to pierce the Hydra heads with his kunai. So a lot of characters on this list would be able to physically harm him. It's more so that Moryo's body is also able to like physically harm other people, as in the flashback when Naruto actually dies, he literally just one of the heads soars right through Naruto's abdomen, making it so Moryo would actually have higher AP than Shino actually being able to pierce through Naruto. I'm not saying Moryo is this like god or like tailed beast equivalent, as even Naruto notes in the fight that he's too slow multiple times. But the problem is that Naruto actually has to fuse a Rasengan with the priestess to destroy him. So it's more so a question of how Naruto would have dealt with him if the direct counter to Morio wasn't present in the fight, which does make it a little bit harder to talk about Morio. Problem with Shino as well is that there's obvious limit to his body activation jutsu, with it being more so questionable if he could survive giant holes in his stomach, which Shino himself, having really bad durability, like base Naruto punching him was actually able to like go into his bone, like, and they regenerates it. So it's more so that Morio's a giant serpent that does have the AP to breach Naruto, whereas Shino didn't really, even with some of his stronger attacks in the fight. So maybe you could argue like Shino like starts beating off the heads, but it's more so implied like the heads themselves do damage just like them existing. And this is also demonstrated by Shion like shielding Naruto in the movie, as the Hydra heads just literally were trying to knock into Naruto. So Shino in character will more than likely try and flex his body activation jutsu and might unironically one-shot himself. Even if he doesn't, Morio just does better against an implied same like version of Naruto, or like comparable versions. Morio narratively is also a lot more threatening, actually requiring the 5 great nations to work together to tackle him and his ghost army, with his revival being the end of the world, whereas Shino was more so formidable because he was from the Land of Sky, and the Land of Sky was like its own mini ninja village that with like shinobi that could fly. So you have this one being whose revival would mean the end of the shinobi world, compared to not even an individual, because nobody knew Shino was like the leader of the Land of Sky or about the Zero Tails. His army being like an issue for the Leaf Village, which instantly counter strikes and like kills them. So narratively, it's pretty clear that Morio is also a bigger threat than Shino. At the number 4 slot, I have Hiruko from Naruto Shippuden Will of Fire. Now, this spot can actually be a little bit of a toss-up depending, but we're going to talk about it in a sec. Now, Hiruko essentially declares war on all 5 great nations from the start of the movie, which is actually pretty absurd to think that he would be able to like take them on even with his subordinates. Hiroko is actually more comparable to the Sannin, as he's actually a childhood friend of them and actually made their strength somewhat of a goal in mind for his. Not to say like he only wants to be as strong as the Sannin, but we do have a bit of a tier which he's looking to reach. He develops a jutsu called the Chimera Technique, allowing him to obtain the Kekkei Genkai of other ninja by fusing their bodies with his own. And in the film, he does want Kakashi's Sharingan as his last jutsu, and instead of resisting him or just saying no, Tsunade and Kakashi surmise that the only way to do it is place a trap inside his Mangekyo Sharingan that will activate when he is absorbed. So that should also say something to Hiroko's strength as well, that they weren't really able to challenge him on any other front except the surprise attack when he was most vulnerable. Now Hiroko's arsenal is pretty solid. He can absorb chakra and jutsu using the shade style, enabling him to use the same attribute as the individual whose chakra is stolen. Examples of this being how he absorbed Naruto's clones Rasengans and uses the Rasengan right back on Naruto. He does the same thing with Kakashi's Raikiri, although it seems to be a limit as Hiroko is unable to absorb the Rasen Shuriken. He has Gale Style or Storm Release, where Hiroko can create an infinitely expanding cumulonimbus to strike a person. He has Steel Style, which hardens his skin and as a result takes no damage, very akin to Kakazu's Diamond Hardening. He has Quick Style, a speed amp allowing him to blitz around Sakura and dominate her. Hiroko dominates Naruto, Sakura, Sai, and Shikamaru, completely absorbing their chakra by the end of the fight. Naruto, who was previously shown combating Kazekage Gaara in the same film and getting the better end of him in this fight, which also does something to Hiroko's power. He was blatantly able to overwhelm post-Akatsuki suppression mission arc Kakashi and Naruto, with Kakashi almost surmising that there's no real way to defeat Hiroko at this point, the same Kakashi would have gone up against these same opponents. Hiroko honestly probably would have gone unchallenged until the moment Naruto shoots the Rasen Shuriken at him, which Hiroko is actually unable to absorb and just loses the fight right there and then. The Shino versus Hiroko debate essentially boils down to if Hiroko can absorb the dark chakra within Shino, because if he can, that's the fight right there, as in-character Hiroko starts almost every encounter off with absorbing chakra. If not, you can maybe make the case Shino will continuously regenerate to the point he surpasses Hiroko's stats, but even that's unclear, as if he'd be able to breach Hiroko's Steel Style. And on top of that, Hiroko might actually just steal his body activation jutsu, which would just be catastrophic. So honestly, Shino doesn't really have the AP to breach his Steel Style, as well as the fact Hiroko is just going to blitz around him, and honestly, if he can stop his chakra, if not, he's just going to beat him up until he runs out of chakra. He might also just swamp him with Storm Release, which will just continuously expand until Shino's defeated. The same thing applies to Morio, whereas compared to like Shino, who obviously is going to taijutsu around Morio, Hiruko doesn't actually have to use his fist. His fist is going to be protected along with him having large-scale jutsu to combat Morio. He's going to be blitzing around with quick style and just absorbing chakra from Morio, which, you know, was a bit toxic to his subordinates, but the fact remains that his subordinates actually were able to take his chakra and use it, so there's nothing to suggest that Hiroko wouldn't be able to absorb it. Hiroko more so scales to like Kakuzu fight Naruto and Kakashi, the same Naruto who was using his clones in a much more analytical and strategic manner, analyzing his opponent's fighting style, and a stronger version of Kakashi who was a bit more used to his Mangekyo Sharingan and just, you know, the Sharingan in general. It's just very clear he's taking these people on. He's starting a whole ninja war just off himself and his subordinates alone. He was very confident. He has a really solid arsenal that honestly wasn't stopped until like Naruto busted out the Rasen Shuriken, which needs no introduction in terms of like how strong it is. At my number 3 spot, I have Mukade from Naruto Shippuden: The Lost Tower. Now, in this movie, Naruto gets sent back into the past. That's the premise of the film. Roll with it. The main villain's name is Mukade. He uses puppets. Now, Mukade is essentially a giant puppet in this movie. He's kind of in a similar situation to Sasori, where he's inside a puppet that's inside a bigger puppet. And essentially, this giant puppet has an unlimited amount of stamina and chakra, as he's draining chakra from the plot device, Tower of Iran, making it so it was nigh impossible to permanently take him down. Mukade being even too much for Minato, who's also in this movie, for him to take him down. Now, what separates Mukade apart from the other villains is that on top of having near limitless regeneration, and it's not the fact that he has limitless regeneration, it's the speed at which his regeneration takes place, as even Minato in the film notes how his regeneration is too fast for Minato to blatantly overwhelm it. On top of this regeneration, he can absorb chakra or ninjutsu, actually able to absorb the Rasen Shuriken, which was previously shown to be too much for Hiroko. So chakra of that magnitude is not beyond the scope of Mikude's giant puppet. So we actually get a bit of one-to-one in terms of this as well. And on top of this, Mukude's giant puppet also has a great deal of durability, being able to, at least with its tail, blatantly deflect Naruto's Rasengan attempts, along with overwhelming Naruto when he attempts to create like a barrage of shadow clones with Rasengan in their hands. And this giant puppet isn't simply, you know, a slow, giant tanking thing that can just absorb ninjutsu. Now, Mukude can shoot out giant puppet-like missiles from his fingertips along with giant energy beams from the mouth, so it's entirely possible and more than likely probable that Mukade would just start nuking anyone below him on the list, with him showing to have the ability to absorb chakra levels that the person right under him, Haruko, previously couldn't. There's no way to really argue someone like Hiroko would be able to absorb the giant energy beam that he shot at him if he's able to contain these vast amounts of chakra. Mukade actually required a joint Rasengan from Naruto and Minato to form the quote-unquote ultimate supreme Rasengan, Minato's words, not mine, which destroys Mukude's body. The only way his body was actually destroyed was due to the chakra source that he was pulling from being sealed off, said chakra source being seemingly endless. The fact that he was pressuring Minato, of all people, throughout this film does say something to the power he has. Nobody below Mukade is going to be able to destroy him faster than his regeneration could heal him, as Minato, the guy who's fast, notes his regen is blatantly too fast for him to overwhelm, as well as the fact that unlike everybody else below him, Mukade can absorb the Rasen Shuriken levels of chakra, unlike Hiroko has a clear limit. He'd also be able to blatantly nuke people like Shino and Morio with his large-scale energy beams. It's pretty clear that Mukade's a step above everybody below him on this list. You could maybe argue that this is more so due to the fact that he's just endlessly regenning from having a constant source of chakra to pull from. And while this is fair, this is more so in reference to his regeneration and not his large-scale AoE attack. So even if you did like remove that aspect of this like character having this constant source of chakra to pull from, he'd still be able to wipe the group and absorb their techniques just all the same. So it really wouldn't change too much. It's just kind of like icing on the cake that they just have no real way to stop him. At the number 3 spot, we have Satori from Naruto Shippuden Blood Prison, a personal favorite film of mine. And in this film, Naruto is framed for the attempted murder of the Raikage and is sent to Hozuki Castle, a prison ran by shinobi from the Land of Grass. The Land of Grass specializing in imprisonment jutsu. This is displayed as Naruto is hit with the fire-style Celestial Prison, a jutsu formula that makes him unable to infuse any chakra. Naruto theorized that in Sage Mode he'd be able to break the formula, and does break it when he has his QB chakra absorbed in his Sage Mode and QB chakra all coming forth by Warden Mu, who's like the main guy who puts the ceiling on Naruto in this movie. And the whole plot of this movie is that Naruto is there undercover without him knowing it, and he's having his chakra drained into the Box of Paradise. dating back to the era of the Sage of Six Paths, with it being said the Hidden Grass was on the verge of conquering the world with the box until they were suddenly destroyed. Box for the sake of reviving his son who was in the box, or like freeing him. And when he does, Muku walks outside the box and almost one-shots Mui, with Muku transforming into Satori, a giant grotesque humanoid bird-like being. Naruto enters Sage mode in an attempt to destroy the Box of Paradise with an Odama Rasengan that doesn't even graze it. Satori says that he tried to destroy it countless times from the inside, only to fail. Naruto attempts to take him on directly, with Satori absolutely weaving and avoiding Sage mode Naruto's physical strikes. Naruto even summons Gamabunta, who retreats from Satori, noting his immense power. Satori can read the emotions of anyone he's fighting, being able to specifically note bloodlust and fear. Very similar to how Naruto can sense evil intent and use it as a form of threat perception when he's in his Kyuubi cloak. Gamabunta clouds his own intent in the fight by using Naruto's determination to overcloud it. Reinforcements arrive, and Konoha 11 with Jonin like Kakashi, Yamato, and Might Guy, along with full 8 Tails Killer B, are unable to tag Satori due to his threat perception alone, which is actually kind of crazy when you think about it. It isn't until Naruto erases all fear from his heart that he's able to start letting blows on Satori, who actually isn't taking any real substantial damage from the blows that Sage Mode Naruto is hitting on him. He's actually taking the hits very confidently, showing no external damage and recovering very quickly from the barrage. He's also able to pierce through Naruto when hardening his claw-like hands together like a drill, showing some impressive AP, being able to bypass Naruto's enhanced durability in Sage mode. Naruto's actually going to die from this wound until he was revived by Ryu, or another plot girl, using her Kekkei Genkai with the cost of her life to give life to him. Satori dives into the War Arc tier fighters, his threat perception just making him so impossible to hit. Naruto only discovered it due to Ryu having no fear in front of Satori, as her friend Maku was the host. He has AP to tear through Hiroko's steel style, Mukude's puppet body, along with the fact that he's not going to be hit by anybody in this fight. And even if he does, it's questionable if they'd be able to damage him. He also has a pretty interesting arsenal of techniques, having large-scale energy blasts akin to tail beast bombs, along with feathers that he can shoot out from his wings. So he's also got the same advantages that Mukude does, in the sense that he has large-scale attacks. Only this time, he's, again, like another tier of fighter above everybody else. He's kind of getting into that Sage mode tier, that Sanin tier, like Haikage, however you want to say it. So, yeah, pretty clear they're not really going to be able to damage him, even if they hit him. So he'd honestly just kind of weave around until he just destroyed one of their bodies completely. At number 2, we have Menma from Naruto Road to Ninja. I have a video on my channel actually already talking about Menma. I'll leave it down below so I don't repeat too much of what's saying. But Menma is an animal, being an opponent too strong for even all 5 great nations together to defeat, having a diverse arsenal of jutsu along with an unparalleled manipulation of the Nine Tails chakra, far beyond anything Naruto shown in the original timeline, having portions of the Kyuubi's chakra form into puppets with unique abilities strong enough to stonewall the Akatsuki, while Menma thrashes Sage Mode Naruto at the same time with Sage Mode of his own. Crazy that he can multitask this with such quick gathering of nature energy. Having full mastery of his Nine Tails, actually giving the Kyuubi a form while he fights on top of it. It really is something else. He's slapping around juggernauts like Minato like they're nothing in the movie, holding him in a barrier and instantly reducing his chakra supply to 0. Menma is just a beast far above anybody on this list. He actually needs his own video, and I have a video on it, so I recommend checking it out. But if you want to kind of like discuss how he deal with Satori, he'd honestly just nuke the battlefield with his Dai Rasen Rengu, which is more akin to Pain's almighty push that completely nuked the leaf. That, or it would simply turn into the Kyuubi versus Satori. Now, you could maybe say like his threat perception, but obviously there has to be a limit to it. He's not going to be just blatantly dodging people he's not relative to in speed. So at a certain level, like Menma's just going to surpass him blatantly. He'd honestly just nuke Satori with the barrage of Bijou bombs if he summons Kurama. If he distributes the Nine Tails chakra, it honestly, Satori might not even be able to like sense the intent of all the puppets, since there's no fear. There's just it's chakra being manipulated, so there's a possibility he might not be able to dodge them at all. So there's just a number of ways that Menma's just going to absolutely body him. Menma's much more akin to a later War Arc fighter. If you want more on it, watch my Menma video, but it's pretty clear that Menma's a step above Satori. From the number 1 spot, I have Toneri from Naruto the Last. This is easy to see coming. Doesn't require too much explanation. Toneri out here just slicing the moon. Pretty blatant power difference with even the puppet body of himself is actually able to like throw hands with base Naruto post 6 pats and obtaining a whole other half of Kurama. Toneri was able to remove Naruto's Rasengan and chakra supply even without the Tenseigan, which basically kind of one-shotted Naruto. So he'd honestly do the same thing to Menma here. He'd just like shoot that attack, Menma would try and counter it, and he would just lose all his 9-tail chakra and get incapacitated. And with the Tenseigan, Toneri is able to match KCM2 Sage Mode Naruto in a prolonged bout, but with far better hacks than anybody below him on the list, as he has access to the Truth-Seeking Orbs, allowing him to really neg any character below him on this list. Toneri is just a tier above everybody else in terms of speed, power, hacks, and ability. He can just easily neg anybody below him. He shouldn't really require too much of an explanation. His feats are just really blatant. It's in your face. I don't really have to say much. And his arsenal, again, just a lot of ways to neg. And if he's doing well against this Naruto, Menma's gonna get wiped. It's just, it is what it is. So that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I did not do like Naruto, Boruto, the movie on this list, mostly because it got retconned by the anime. So it doesn't really feel like necessary, and it's on top of all these being not canon, it's super not canon. So I mean, if you wanted Momoshiki, just put him here, but you know, I'm not. It's just, it got retconned, so that there's that. So that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you did. Let me know if you disagree down below, which character you think wins where. I try to spark notes it up, but we're done. Intro, clickbait, yo, go.